my phone when we go live. Just give me 1 second. All right, cool. We're live. All right, Shalom.
Shalom.
First, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Hashem, Kadash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone. Blessings to the elect. Yeah, we're pretty much just gonna go into this real quick. You know, I was just talking with the brother. All right, and you know, going into this quick topic here concerning the law of Moses and Hammurabi's code. Okay, which Hammurabi's code is basically similar. All right, as certain historians like to compare it to the law, which the law they call it the law of Moses, but really it's the Most High's law. That was given written. All right, to Moses. Okay, nonetheless, as we're gonna go into it, there's certain historians out there. Bruce Gore. You could watch him. All right, he basically goes into a lot of the church history, a lot of biblical history. But you also got to be careful because there's always certain bones here and there. So with our understanding of the scriptures, we're able to filter certain of the information that we get, all right, from these historians and from the research that we do, okay, to bring out the true and valid information. Okay, so now dealing with this here, okay, as the brother's gonna play in the clip, he mentions how basically Hammurabi's code sort of comes predates the law of Moses, and basically as though the laws that we have come from, all right, or are a replica of Hammurabi's code, which is actually false. It's not so. Okay, so you could go into it.
Yeah. All right. So this is like the brother already said everything there is to say. So this I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but this picture of this pillar that you see over there, this is a Mesopotamian deity. Is it Marduk?
Yeah, Marduk.
Right? Yeah, Marduk. And the guy just standing in front of Marduk is Hammurabi, and basically Marduk is handing down the laws to Hammurabi, and basically they just compare that to the law of Moses and say, see, the scriptures is fake because we're just borrowing, we're just stealing from what the ancient civilizations. And so this we come into the video. We're coming here with the video, to show that this isn't the law that was given to Moses. It's actually been around for a while, like even to the time of Cain and Abel, to the time of Adam. And we're gonna bring up a few scriptures to back it up on that, so we can clear the air on this thing right here.
Gone, yeah, because hey, at the end of the day, man, you gotta understand, as the scriptures say. Let me get that real quick. This is the book of Isaiah 34 and 16. It says, "Seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read. No one of these shall fail. None shall want her mate. For my mouth it hath commanded, and his spirit it hath gathered them." All right. So you got to seek out of the scriptures, man. Now, a lot of these people out here will try to discredit the scriptures. A lot of them call themselves historians, but they're low key in the back of their minds, trying to, invalidate certain things in the scriptures. See, some of them will tell you, "Oh, I don't believe the Bible as a whole is invalid. I just think there's certain parts of it, all right, that don't add up." Now it's funny because these elites, they believe the scriptures. They know the scriptures are real. All right, they've done their actual research. All right, and they confirm the things we say with their research, but obviously they won't come out and tell you. If they know the truth, their job is to spread lies. So once they know the truth, they'll send this information out, to confuse people and have that out there. All right, but we're gonna go to show you that the law of Moses, all right, or the law that was given to Moses was in existence prior to Moses being on the scene. Okay, so when people try to make it seem as though when Moses went up to the mountain and the Lord gave him those laws and those commandments, that was the first ever time that the biblical laws were put on the earth that is invalid.
Yeah.
When you think like that is when you're gonna think, oh, that means he got it from the story of Moses came from the story of Hammurabi. No. All right. So you want to play the video first?
Yeah, I want to play the video.
Okay.
It's currently in France, and it was quite a sensation when it was discovered in 1901 because it was immediately recognized by those people who are familiar with these issues that, at least on the face of it, there seemed to be some correlation between Hammurabi's code on the one hand and the code that comes later through Moses on the other. And of course, critical scholars immediately jumped on that and said, oh, we knew it all along. Moses just borrowed from Hammurabi all of his stuff, and this is not divine revelation at all, you know, that kind of thing that sometimes people will seize upon as a reason to doubt the trustworthiness of the scriptures. So anyway, that has made Hammurabi's code something of an interesting question for Old Testament scholars and ancient historians who are concerned about this. Well, the organization of Hammurabi's code is it's basically 282 separate laws. They're written on 12 tablets, which are inscribed. This is a kind of a close-up of what they would look like. If anyone can make that out.
We're pausing real quick.
Yeah.
So, like he said, there's what 200 and somewhat laws, but guess what? In the scriptures, there's 613. You know. So, what about the rest? You know, when you do math, you know, what about the 200 and somewhat change? All right, that's left. You know, did we just add on to that? You know, because yeah, Moses, he saw the 282, and then he modified a few and added a spin and a twist here so that it could look different. It could be diverse from Hammurabi's code. So therefore, AKA Moses stole it from Ham. That's BS, man. And we're gonna go into unless there's more in the video.
You know, there isn't. But like what you said is BS because the reason. Okay, so I actually like watched the whole video and some more did a lot more in it. And there are some laws that actually says, for example, there's a law that says that if you think someone is a witch, right? If someone is a witch and she's brought to a trial, what we do is that we leave the bitch in the water, and if she drowns, if she drowns, she's not a witch. If she doesn't drown, she's a witch. But the thing is, every person on earth does not. What if the witch can swim? You know, or what if the person who's not a witch can't swim? You see what the problem is? Yeah. There is no way to find out who's a witch or not through that method. Okay, you know, do you leave a person in the water until they drown before you confirm it, or do you take them out eventually before they can drown? And if the witch is aware of that, then does she leave herself underwater until you save her from it so she can keep her cover? You know, a lot of things are wrong with it. But you take the law of Moses, for example, right? There is, for example, the law of circumcision. The scripture tells you that you circumcise the son on the 8th day, not on the 7th day, not on the 6th day. And this brother actually brought it to me. Then that's why I remember it, because it's amazing. And the reason is that nobody knew the reason until, you know, modern medicine, you know, he said that, what was it that you told me?
Basically you know, when the baby's born, there's a certain part, I think is a fibroids or something like that. I forgot the exact name, but it's basically what causes your blood to clot.
Right.
You know, now the clotting in your blood is actually a good thing, okay? Because if a baby, all right, when a baby is born, before their blood starts to be able to clot, if they get cut, they can bleed to death.
That's right.
Because when you get a pinch, you know, when they stab your skin, the reason the blood swells up and looks like a little ball is clotting. It's thickening so that it doesn't just gush out of your body. So now that forms, all right, that forms within the baby around the 8th day. That's when it's like at its highest within the body, or it's produced the most. And so that's why the Lord said circumcise them on the 8th day, because that way, because the circumcision is cutting, all right, and there's gonna be blood when it cuts.
Right.
But in order to prevent the baby from bleeding out to death, you do it on that day.
Beautiful and perfect. You see the difference. You know, he didn't just steal from him, man. This is a divine thing that the Lord brought, because it's is wisdom, man. It's perfect,
Mhm.
you know.
Mhm.
But so
I got a quick precept.
right, cool.
Because like you mentioned about the witch, this is Exodus 22:18. It says, "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live." So now let's read what it says here in terms of what the law is on dealing with a witch. Okay, it says this is Leviticus chapter 20 verse 6. It says, "And the soul that turneth after such as have familiar spirits." Familiar spirits are basically a form of witchcraft. You know, that's basically having a demon that you can use to perform certain tasks. You know, so like going into fortune telling, for example,
Hmm.
they use familiar spirits. They get their information from the demon. You know, the demon, they can use themselves as a medium for the demon to speak through to tell you what's going to happen, or so on and so forth, or give you information here and there. It says, and the soul that turneth after, Leviticus 20:6, the soul that turneth after such as have familiar spirits and after wizards to go a whoring after them, I will even set my face against that soul and will cut him off from among his people. It says, sanctify yourselves, sanctify yourselves therefore and be ye holy, for I am the Lord your power. Okay, so the Lord said what? He's gonna cut off, okay, the soul, okay, that goes after what? A whoring after witchcraft, sorcery, so on and so forth. And as we read before in Exodus, it says, "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live." So that means what? You're supposed to put them to death.
Right.
That's why when Saul went to the witch of Endor, she was scared. She was afraid because she figured that if it was discovered, it was made public that she was a witch, she was going to be put to death. That's why she was afraid, and Saul had to basically press her in order to perform that act, you know, to conjure up the spirit of Samuel.
Right.
You know, so but yeah, that was basically it on that verse. So now we could go into the precepts that you have.
Right. So the first precept goes into Cain and Abel, the first example of the law that I could find again. So this is not even the first example because there's another precept on that. But so this is Genesis chapter 4, starting from verse. We start from verse 1. It says, "And Adam knew Eve, his wife, meaning they had sex, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. And she again bare his brother Abel, and Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground."
Right. Now, real quick, at this point, see, people think that the reason that that people think that the laws first came during the time of Moses is because at the time of Adam and Eve and Cain and Abel and Seth and Enoch and all of them, guess what? They had the law, but it was oral. Okay, it was passed down orally. It was an oral thing. It wasn't written down. Okay, there weren't physical written statutes there, but they knew it orally. Okay, and that was given to Adam. All right, the chosen line. All right, from creation on down. So now, before we go into these examples of the law, let's actually go into that account. All right. First get Genesis. Let's start with Genesis 2:7.
All right. This is Genesis chapter 2, verse 7. It says, and the Lord formed man of the dust of the ground.
Right. And now when you go into it, it says Lord in all caps, okay, which is Yahweh. But when you look up the word, go into the word God, and let me see if it's plural.
The word in the word God.
Yeah, just scroll down. Allahayim. Right. So it is plural. Okay, cool. So when you go into it, it should say what? And Khan, Allahayim.
Yeah.
Which when you look at the definition, it goes into what? Judges, divine ones, entities. All right. So when you read it with understanding, it's saying, and Yahweh's powers, the powers or the angels of Yahweh, meaning they're creations of Yahweh or they belong to the Lord. So the Lord's angels or Yahweh's powers formed man of the dust of the ground. Now go into the word formed.
All right. This is the word formed.
It says Yatazar. Okay, Yatazar, look up the definition real quick. Okay, boom, right there. It says to form, fashion, frame, to of human activity, of creation, of Israel as a people, to frame, preordain, plan. All right, for purpose of situation. Okay, or to predetermine. So it didn't say the Lord created man; it said He formed man of the dust of the ground.
Right.
All right, go back to the previous page.
Right.
Because the Lord had created, man, male and female, okay, but then He selected a chosen line starting with Adam, and He formed us or fashioned us into His likeness, okay, and that included what? Giving us the laws. Okay, so now keep reading on that verse.
So, and the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul.
Right. So now, when you read in Genesis, the first chapter, it tells you how we came from the waters.
That's right.
So when people read this, they imagine the Lord taking some clay, and then molding Adam, and then turning him, and then Adam became a man. That's not what happened. Okay, dust is representative of confusion. Okay, because what did the laws bring? The laws brought us order. Okay, so the Lord fashioned us. All right, gave us this. Basically took us from the confusion that was on the earth. Of course, man, you know the basics. All right, but there's a level to it. Okay, there's a certain order that comes with the getting the laws, which is that divine order that makes us what? A holy people. Okay, a separate people. So He took us out of the confusion. It says, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. So does that mean that before this happened, we weren't living? No.
Right.
We were originally living, because in Genesis, the first chapter, it says we were what? A part of those creatures that came out of the waters. Let the waters bring forth abundantly the living creature. Is not man a living creature? So we were already created. But this was what? The fashioning of us to be that chosen line, to be that special, basically that special people, because we're gonna go into it said what? Breathe into his nostrils the breath of life. All right. So now let's go into what the breath of life is. Let's go.
Right. In order to add on, to add on for the explanation of that dust of the ground, when the scripture speak of the serpent crawling on the belly and dust shall thou eat.
Yeah.
Okay, which is talking about Esau. They got to a point where they were so low. They were in the low stature that Job didn't even want him near his dogs, man, because they were too filthy for his dogs.
Right.
So that's pretty much dust of the ground.
Hey, go into that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you can bring it out and now.
Okay, all right. I believe it's 30. Yep, Job chapter 30, starting at verse 1. It says, "Oh, you getting it? Okay.
Yeah.
You can see it at the top.
You can read it now. Just highlight it on.
Okay. Hold on 1 second. Let me get the precept.
Okay.
On the belly. All right. This is Genesis 3:14. This is when the Lord cursed. All right, the serpent.
Right.
So Genesis 3:14. It says, "And the Lord power said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle and above every beast of the field. Upon thy belly shalt thou go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life." Now, if the serpent represents Esau, he's not eating dust right now. Okay. And when was he actually eating physical dust? It means he was going to be brought to a low state. Because if you're on your belly, that means what? You're on the ground.
Right.
Okay? And the ground is a very low state. When you read in Isaiah 47, it talks about what? Come down and sit in the ground over Babylon, meaning you're going to be brought to a low state. Okay. And if you're what's on the ground? Dust. All right. Which is what? Representative of a low state or confusion. Okay. Because if you're confused, you're in a lower state than somebody who's not confused. All right. So now let's read about the account of that, an example of them being brought to a low state. Pull it up real quick. All right, it's Job chapter 30 verse 1. It says, "But now they that are younger than I have me in derision." Now the word younger in the Hebrew, it's not talking about age-wise. All right. It says here, what's that?
Oops.
Do you have the definition of it? Okay.
Younger. I was gonna go into younger, but if not.
Yep. Hey, Shalom, Elder. Stay in Spirit 144.
Oh, Shalom.
That's why Esau's greatest kingdom is referred to Babel, confusion. Dust also represent confusion. Exactly, the water. You know. So it says the definition says what? Little, insignificant. Okay. So now when you go back to it, Job is saying that they that are younger than I, meaning they that are less than me, those that are more insignificant, because Esau ain't on the same level as us. Okay, have me in derision, whose fathers I would have disdained to have set with the dogs of my flock. Okay, I would have disdained. All right, we're gonna go into the word disdain. All right, it says ma'as. Okay, it says to reject, despise, refuse, to be rejected. That means Job was not. He would not even try to hear it. You know what I'm saying? I would utterly turn that down to have them set with the dogs of my flock, to even have them around his dogs. Job wouldn't have that. Okay. Verse 2. It says, I'll wait till you pull it up.
Well, you're reading up from the screen, right?
Yeah, I'll read from here. Yeah, it says, yea, whereto might the strength of their hands profit me, in whom old age was perished. It says, verse 3, for want and famine they were solitary, fleeing into the wilderness in former time, desolate and waste, who cut up mallows by the bushes and juniper roots for their meat. Because that's where you get the concept of cavemen. You see, they always like to teach you with these textbooks that in school,
everybody was a caveman. That's pretty much
right. Everybody was a caveman, but really that's Esau's history. All right, because usually the images of the caveman, you see Edomites, because that's who it was that was in that state. All right, stay in the Spirit 144. When you go further into the definition of younger, it says ignoble, which means lowness, baseness, the water. And I think there's a scripture that talks about the Lord basically gives the kingdom to who he wants, and he has basically set the basis of men, to rule in it, and that's Esau, Edom. Okay, so you could go back to the other screen box,
right?
Let me see. Oh, I think it's the last one. All right, the last one. I think it was probably the last one.
The last one?
Oh, yeah, Job. There we go. So it says, who cut up mallows by the bushes, the water. Yep, Daniel 4:17. Let me hold that on here. All right. Who cut up mallows by the bushes and juniper roots for their meat, meaning that was what they were eating. All right. They were driven forth from among men. They cried after them as after a thief, to dwell in the cliffs of the valleys, in caves of the earth, and in the rocks. That's where you get caveman or Caucasian, which means a cave dweller. Okay. So even by their name, they give up their identity. Okay. So because we're reading here that this is what happened to the Edomites. Yeah. They were the so-called cavemen. That's why when you go down to Edom in Petra, all right, it's basically designed, the designs of Petra. Guess what? When you go to the Roman Empire, a lot of their Colosseums and their building structures is similar to the designs over there, because it's the same people. Okay. So now that we got the understanding of that, we're just gonna go, we're gonna go back to where we were in Genesis 2.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool.
Yeah, we're gonna read that one more time and then we'll. I think it's on the left of the blue.
I think it was on the same tab, but then yeah. Genesis.
Okay. Yeah, Genesis 2:7.
Right.
And the Lord power and Yahweh's powers formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. So now let's go into the breath, pursuant to Wisdom of Solomon, the 7th chapter and 24th verse. You got it.
It says, "For wisdom is more moving than any motion. She passeth and goes through all things by reason of her pureness. For she is the breath of the power of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, and a pure influence flowing from the glory of the Almighty. Therefore can no defiled things fall into her."
Right. So she is what? She is the breath, okay, of the power of the Most High.
Right.
Okay. So it says he breathed into her. What kind of he breathed into Adam? What kind of breath did he breathe into Adam? Was wisdom. Now the second part, going back to actually I have Genesis 2 on here, so I'll just refer back to it from here. Going on to it, it says after he breathed into his nostrils, and man became a living soul. Right. Now go from here to Proverbs 21:16. And let's see what it means to live.
All right. This is Proverbs chapter 21, verse 16. It says, "The man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead."
Right. So it says, shall remain in the congregation of the dead. So if you lack understanding, if you lack wisdom, if you lack the knowledge of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, really you're in the congregation of the dead, of the dead. Okay. So that means what? If you have the wisdom and the knowledge and understanding of the Lord, then what? You're in the congregation of the living. You know, you're not in the congregation of the dead, meaning you're alive. Okay. So when you go back to Genesis and it tells you what? He breathed, he formed man and took him out of confusion and gave him what? The laws, statutes, and commandments. Because what is the number one way you get wisdom of the Lord? It starts with what? The knowledge of fearing Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. And if you fear the Lord, you what? You're going to obey him. And how do you obey him? By following his laws and his commandments and what he has asked us to do. Okay, that is having true wisdom of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, and that's what's going to give you life. So we just read an account of the Lord taking us and separating us, pursuant to Deuteronomy 7:6. The Lord separated us from the rest of the world, and that also comes by way of giving us laws that were separate from the rest of the world. So now we're going to get a couple of accounts, okay, of us using these laws, even though they weren't written down.
Right. And not just before, and not just before the time of Moses, but it's also before the time of Hammurabi's code, man.
Right. Gone.
So continuing, well, Adam knew his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, "I have gotten a man from the Lord." And she again bare his brother Abel, and Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tilter of the ground.
Right.
And in the process of, are you going to say something?
Yeah. So Abel was a shepherd, basically, and Cain was, a tiller of the ground. Dealing with herbs and all these different things, which is spiritual, because Esau was a cunning hunter, and going into it. But yeah, verse 3.
And in the process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought of the first fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord.
Now, here's the thing. It says it came, and in the process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. Why? Why was Cain required to bring an offering unto the Lord? What would prompt Cain to have to offer something to the Lord? Because if you do that, then that means what? It seemed as though it's an obligation. Cain, everybody had to bring their offering, and this is what Cain brought. All right, you got something?
Oh yeah, it's just precepts, cross references, and I'm just gonna read it.
Okay.
Of the law. It's just this is just a portion of it. It says that thou set apart unto the Lord all that openeth the matrix, and every firstling that cometh of a beast which thou hast.
Okay.
The male shall be the Lord's, and it's basically going to the first fruits, which is in the law.
Right. What verse was that?
Exodus 13:12.
Exodus 13:12. Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
So what you supposed to bring? What you supposed to bring that animal? All right, the first of your flock, that beast. Now, when you go into the word sacrifice or offering in Genesis 4:3, all right. It says here, the definition, it says offering, oblation, okay? Sacrifice, meat offering, okay? So why would Cain bring an oblation? All right, let's look up that word. Why would Cain bring an oblation onto the Lord in the process of time? Okay. It says a thing presented or offered to the Most High or to God or a God. Okay. And now, get started real quick because there's a scripture. Yep, this is Daniel chapter 9, verse 24. It says, yea, whilst I was speaking in prayer, even the man Gabriel, whom I had seen in the vision at the beginning, being caused to fly swiftly, touched me about the time of the evening oblation. Okay, because it was a customary, all right, or it was a part of our laws to basically bring a sacrifice. You know, we would do morning, we would sacrifice in the morning, and we would sacrifice in the evening. All right. And so that's why he said at the time of the evening oblation, the time of the evening sacrifice. So in the process of time, meaning what? There was a law that required them to bring a sacrifice onto the Lord. Okay. And in the process of time, when the time came for you to bring your sacrifice, Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering to the Lord. And let's read what happened. Verse 4.
And Abel, he also of the firstling of his flock and of the fat thereof, and the Lord had respect unto Abel and to his offering.
Right. Now, this shows you that this wasn't something that Cain just up and said, hey, I just want to offer something to the Lord, because Abel had to do it as well. You know? So this was basically a requirement. Now, let me look up the word respect.
And if I may say, you know, like the brother said, it's not something that Cain just wanted to do, because later on, the scripture, the Lord told Cain didn't really want to do it, you know, because he gave like he didn't do it right. And the Lord tells me, if you would have done it right, you know, I wouldn't have rejected your offer. So just basically, Cain had to do it. It wasn't something he wanted to do because he didn't even do it right, you know.
Right.
He didn't do it from his heart. And
so it says the Lord had respect unto Abel and his offering, which respect meaning regard. Okay. It says, you keep going.
But unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect, and Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. And the Lord said unto Cain, why art thou wroth? And why is thy countenance fallen? If thou didst well, shall not thou be accepted? And if thou dost not well, sin lies at the door, and unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him.
Right. So now hold on 1 second. Let's get a quick account. Okay. Because what is sin? It's the transgression of the law.
Got it.
So let's pull that up real quick. In the book of 1 John, also lets you know that Cain knew the correct way to do it, just like Esau knew the blessing that he sowed. Khan, exactly. It's funny, I just remembered I got class, but to hell with that. Anyway, hey, forget that, man. We did. This is the real class. I got the notification like class starting in 2 minutes. I'm like, oh shit. Hey, to hell with that anyway, man. I can reply like Babylon gonna be destroyed. You worried about class? It says, yep, that's right. Pull it up real quick. Stay in the spirit 144, which is why Esau now promotes wickedness, because he rejected righteousness. Exactly. Because as you know, the apostles always say, in order to tell a lie, you got to know the truth. Okay. So in order to, know wickedness, you know what's right and you pervert it and you get what's wrong. So now this is, you got it? 1 John 3 and 4.
It says, whosoever committeth sin transgresseth also the law, for sin is the transgression of the law.
So sin is a transgression of the law, right? So go back to Genesis.
All right. Go back with Sean.
And also, when you go into Romans, Paul speaks about how by one man sin entered into the world, and he was referring on to Adam. So now, hold on 1 second, though. Oh, so why? the elder put it here. So hold on 1 second. That means that sin existed in the beginning when Adam and Eve in their time period. But if sin existed, that means the law existed, because you can't have sin without the law. So that right there validates the point that the overall point we're trying to make right now anyway, you know. But as it is right here, Genesis 4:7, if thou doest well, shall thou not be accepted? And if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door. That means you're going off. You're okay. And unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. So if you're not doing well, if you're not following the laws, you're breaking the laws. And if you're breaking the laws, then you what? You're being a servant of sin. You know, you're subject unto your flesh. You're subject unto sin. You're not subject unto the righteousness of following the laws of Yahweh B'Ashem Yahweh Shai. Okay.
All right.
Now I have one more here.
Is it Romans 4:15?
Nah, this one is in the Apocrypha. It's in the book of, I know it's in Second Esdras. Oh. Man, this is some heat. All right, this is oh man. Second Esdras, chapter 3. Man, right. Get it real quick from your Apocrypha. Get a second. Oh man, that brother, yeah, man. A state of spirit 144. That's why Esau rules over sin. That's why he's called the man of sin. Exactly. Because going all the way back, going back to his forefather, hey, it tells you he was a murderer from the beginning. You know? Now murder is what? Murder is the sin. That's why Cain was punished for murdering his brother. Okay? Because if there was no law, then there wouldn't be any repercussions for Cain's actions when he murdered Abel.
That's right.
Okay. You got it. Second Esdras, chapter 3, verse 7.
And unto him thou gavest commandment.
Actually, start at verse 5.
So verse 5, and gave us a body unto Adam.
Start at verse 4, actually.
Verse 4. Are you sure not verse 1? All right, verse 4. All right, O Lord, who bearest rule, thou speakest at the beginning.
Hey, wait. No, Elder, you good. Hey, bring them points in. You add into the lesson. You know, you're giving us more fire. All right.
This is Second Ezra chapter 3 from verse 4. It says, O Lord, who bearest rule, thou speakest at the beginning when thou didst plant the earth, and that thyself alone, and commandest the people.
Commandest the people.
And gave us a body unto Adam without a soul, which was the workmanship of thine hand, and didst breathe unto him the breath of life, and he was made living before thee.
He was made living before thee, meaning what? That's what that definition of living, as we got in Proverbs. Okay, he had that understanding, he had that wisdom. Okay, keep going.
And thou leddest him into paradise, which thy right hand had planted,
which is that garden. And this is the same account we're reading off in Genesis 2. Okay, go ahead.
Before ever the earth came forward, and unto him thou gavest commandments to love thy. That was good. To love thy, that's a beautiful precept. To love thy way, thou gavest commandments to love thy way.
Oh, now it says what? Thou gavest commandment to love thy way. Now, what is loving the Lord's way? Let's get a precept on that. I know it's in the book of John. Oh man. Oh, there's so many of them. Hold on. Oh, there it is. 1 John chapter 5, verse 3. And this is why the scripture says precept must be upon precept.
Yeah, line up on line. Here a little, there a little.
That's it. It says, for this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous. So like it says, and unto him thou gavest commandment to love thy way. What is loving the Lord's way? Keeping his commandments and his statutes. How do you do that if those commandments and statutes didn't exist? Okay. Now it says, continuing.
Which he transgressed, and immediately thou appointest death in him and his generation, of whom came nations, tribes, people, and kindreds out of number. And
real quick, right there. So now it says what? Which he transgressed. What did Adam transgress? When you look up the word transgression, it says an act that goes against a law. or rule of conduct an offense. So Adam transgressed, meaning what? He committed an act that went against a law. Okay, now this law had to have been the specific laws the Lord gave us, because what was the result of Adam transgressing the law? It says, and immediately thou appointest death in him. So the punishment for transgressing the law was death. And where can we get that? Romans 6:23. Right. For the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God is eternal life through Hamashiach, Yahushua Hamashiach, our Lord. So the wages, all right, or the result of sinning, which sinning is transgressing the law or breaking the law, is death. So that means here in the 7th verse right here that Adam had to have broken the law, because the result of his transgression was that what? He would thou appointest death in him and his generations.
Right.
Okay. Of whom came nations, tribes, people, and kindreds, and out of number. So Moses came from Adam, but Adam already transgressed the law before Moses got it physically. So that means the law was in existence before Moses. So if you're saying that Moses got the laws from copying off of Hammurabi's code, well, the same laws Moses had was there during the time of Adam, and Hammurabi came way after the time of Adam. Okay, so what you gonna say then? Then Hammurabi had to have copied his laws from the laws that Adam had before you could say Moses tried to copy it from him. All right, and this is why you gotta understand the scriptures. You gotta thoroughly understand it, because hey, you might know in your mind that if somebody says that the law of Moses comes from copying Hammurabi's code, actually just keep it on the other tab for now. Yeah, right. It comes from copying Hammurabi's code. You might know that's wrong, but you might not know how to go about it, how exactly to defend that. Right. So that's why the scriptures talk about studying to show yourself approved, onto the Most High. Okay, so yeah, that was basically it on this. Now I believe you said you had some.
Yeah, another account is.
Wait, hold on a second.
Oh, there we go.
It's up. Matter of fact, keep going.
Oh, okay. Wait. And every people walketh after their own will, and did wonderful things before thee, and despised thy commandments.
So hold on 1 second. They did after their own will, and they did wonderful things. It doesn't mean wonderful in the sense of I'm amazed, but wonderful in the sense of astonishing, but in a wicked sense.
Right.
Before thee, and despised thy commandments. What are the Lord's commandments? Hold up. What happened as a result of them despising the Lord's commandments? Verse 9.
And again, in the process of time, thou broughtest the flood upon those that dwelleth upon the earth, and destroyed them.
So because they transgressed his commandments, he punished them with the flood. That means that there were people going off, breaking the Lord's laws at the time of Noah.
Right.
So that means the laws had to have existed at the time of Noah. Abraham built an altar unto the Lord. You know what I'm saying? To what? To offer a sacrifice. And the Lord's sacrifices are specific. Why is it that when he sacrificed a specific animal? Why is it that when Abel brought his sacrifice, it was a specific animal? Because they understood how to perform those specific sacrifices.
That's right.
Oh, an example as well. When Abraham went down into Egypt, okay, and he told Sarah to basically tell the Egyptians that what? She was his sister. Okay. Now, when the Egyptian Pharaoh took Sarah and the Lord came to him in a vision and scared his ass, he was mad at Abraham because he said Abraham didn't tell him that was his wife.
Yeah.
He almost slept with her. Why was he afraid of sleeping with Abraham's wife? Because what? That was adultery, which was punishable by death. And that's why the Lord intervened and told him, hold up, that's another man's wife you about to mess with. Now, Abraham also said what? If they knew, okay, that you were my wife, they would kill me and then take you. Because it's understood that if you take a man's wife while he's alive, that is what? That's adultery. Unless he's dead, then she becomes a widow, which then is different. So, let's see. All right, we're good on this. We could go back. We could go to account.
This is a perfect segue into Noah. So we're gonna get the account of Noah and the commandments. This is
Wait, hold on a second. Hold on.
Yeah, cool.
Because I just
another precept.
Yeah, the precepts just keep coming. It says, let's read this real quick. This is in the book of Romans, chapter 5, verse 12. It says, wherefore, as by one man sin entered into the world, and we just read the account of that. All right, going into Adam. It says, and death by sin, because we just read that the wages of death is sin.
Yeah.
And so death passed upon all men, for that all have sinned. That means that they all had to have what? Broken the laws. Okay. It says for verse 13, for until the law, sin was in the world, but sin is not imputed where there is no law. So you can't even mention sin. Sin is not a thing unless there's a law, because sin is an action that only comes about by breaking a law. Mm-hmm. So you cannot perform an action, all right, of breaking a law if there is nothing to break. So the second sin was mentioned. That means what? The law is there. Wherever there's sin, there's a law. Okay. Stay in the spirit, 144, Genesis 4:26. And to Seth, to him also there was born a son, and he called his name Enos. Then began men to call upon the name of the Lord. And that's the spirit, because I was literally about to get that precept next. I was thinking about that in my mind. All right. Now it says they began to call upon the name of the Lord. Okay. How did they know that? How did they know the ways? Because Enoch knew the ways of righteousness. All right. It says he was translated that he should not see death. So he knew the ways of righteousness.
All right.
Hey man, let's keep going. So back in Romans 5, verse 13, for until the law, sin was in the world, but sin is not imputed where there is no law. Verse 14, nevertheless, death reigned from Adam to Moses. Whoa, now, death reigned from Adam to Moses. But originally, Adam was supposed to be immortal. The reason Adam stopped being immortal, because he went off, he transgressed. Okay, he transgressed against the Lord. All right, and then that was what? Sinning. And through sinning, death came into the world. So if death was reigning all the way from Adam until Moses, that means that what? Sin existed all the way from Adam till Moses. And if sin existed from Adam to Moses, that means the law existed from Adam to Moses.
All right.
All right. It says, nevertheless, death reigned from Adam to Moses, even over them that had not sinned, after the similitude of Adam's transgression, who is the figure of him that was to come. So hold up. Let's read that again. Nevertheless, death reigned from Adam to Moses. That means everybody was still subject to death, even over those people who did. I'm a break it down into layman's terms. It says, even over them that had not sinned after the similitude of Adam's transgression, meaning even to those that had not sinned the same way Adam sinned. Okay, but they what? They still sinned. So that means people were sinning on the earth. And if they were sinning, they were breaking the law. Okay, it says, who is the figure of him that was to come. So that right there just that right there just goes to show you that all the way back then, if sinning was there, that means the law was there. Okay. Continuing, stay in the spirit, 144, Genesis 5:24. And Enoch walked with God, and he was not for the Most High took him. So how thank you. I was just about to go into that word. Walk means manner of life, exercise, meaning he knew the law and walked in those ways. Okay, because when you read in 2 Peter, okay, 2 Peter 3, and I believe is 8. Okay, it says actually it's 3 and 11. It says, seeing then, 2 Peter 3 verse 11, seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved. Now, while I read it, look up the word conversation.
All right.
And we're going to link it. Okay, in the Greek is what? Anastrophe, right?
Right.
I'm going to read the verse. 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 11. Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, all right, by way of those nuclear missiles, what manner of persons ought ye to be in all holy conversation, right, and godliness? And the definition of conversation is the same definition, what? Manner of life.
Right.
Okay, is the same definition when it says what? Enoch walked with God. Okay, so we basically got to do what Enoch did. That's what Peter is saying. We gotta what? Live our life in all holy conversation. That means what? Your manner of life should be holy. And how is your manner of life holy? By what? Being sanctified. And how are we sanctified? By being given the laws. Okay.
Beautiful.
Because the reason the Lord gave us, there's a word holy going into sanctified or sacred or separate. So how did the Lord separate us from this world? By giving us laws, okay? That we're gonna basically we keeping those laws is gonna make us separate and holy, right, from this world. Okay? So by the Lord giving us those laws and making us holy and separate from this world, so like, if you gotta go, let me know. I'll put you on mute.
Yeah, I'm gonna put my go ahead.
All right. So I'll put the brother on mute. Just switch the tab for me real quick before you leave. Because I know it can be a little thing for the brother's eyes. Okay, all right, that's good. All right, so basically the Lord gave us those laws, okay, so that we can be separate from this world, aka we can be holy. All right, so in order to be holy, you got to be what? You got to be keeping the laws that are gonna make us holy. You got to be following in the ways that are gonna make us holy or separate from this world. So Peter says in 2 Peter 3 and 11 that what? Seeing that all this hell is about to break loose, we got to live our life anastrophe in a holy manner, meaning in a manner that's after the ways of the Most High. Okay? So in other sense, he's saying we got to walk after God like Enoch did. Okay? And as the elder put beautifully, the word walk meaning what? A manner of life. Okay? Now this is Genesis chapter 6 and 9. It says, and these are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man and perfect in his generations, and Noah walked with God. So that means what? Noah was also holy, just like Enoch was, and he also, now, how do you walk with God if you don't know how to? Okay? In order to walk with God, you got to know how to walk with God. Okay? So now let's get a quick precept to back that up. All right, Romans chapter 10, verse 13. All right, it says, for whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. How then shall they call on him in whom they have not believed? And how shall they believe in him of whom they have not heard? And how shall they hear without a preacher? Okay, now when you go into Hebrews 5 and 12, it tells you what? You must first be taught again, which be the first principles of the oracles of God. So you got to know how to walk with God before you can walk with God. Okay. Stay in the spirit 144, Ezekiel 11 and 12. And ye shall know that I am the Lord, for ye have not walked. All right. Ye have not walked in my statutes. Let me pull that up on my phone real quick. Ezekiel chapter 11. So like that real quick. Verse 12. All right. So it says, and ye shall know that I am the Lord, for ye have not walked in my statutes, neither. Now, is that literal? How do you literally walk in the Lord's statutes? You know, it says, neither executed my judgments, but have done after the manners of the heathen that are round about you. Okay. Now I want to look up something in here real quick once this thing loads. But once again, it's using that terminology again. Okay, Noah walked with God. Enoch walked with God. Now here the Most High is saying that what? Jake was going off because they weren't walking in the Lord's statutes, meaning what? They weren't walking with God. They weren't living their life all right, after the ways of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, which comes by doing what he asked, which is by way of following his laws and his commandments and his statutes. Okay? So tying it back to the original point, all right, we've proven that the Lord had given us the laws, statutes, and commandments back then, going all the way to the time of Adam. Although it wasn't physically written down, it was orally passed down, but it still existed. Hence, Cain and Abel knew what a sacrificial sacrifice was and how to sacrifice or offer unto the Lord. In addition, the Lord mentioned how if Cain was upset, and the Lord said, "Why are you upset? If you do it right, you're gonna be rewarded and accepted. If you do it wrong, sin lies at the door," which leads us to believe that what wrong means transgress or break the law. That's how sin comes into the world. So we proved that. Then we went into 2nd Esdras and we went to show you that Adam transgressed, meaning what? He went off. He broke the law. And we backed it up with what was written in Romans, that what? Because of Adam, sin entered into the world. So we just showed you that what? The whole the laws, all right, of the Lord, the ways of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai existed all the way from the time of Adam. Why do you think the Lord flooded the earth? Did he just get up and say, "Hey, I just want to flood the earth"? It said the wickedness or the iniquity or the transgression was too much upon the face of the planet earth. So the Lord was like, "It repents me that I created man. I'm going to destroy them all." Now, how do you say something is wicked if there is no standard for righteousness? Okay? And we know the standard of the Lord's righteousness are his laws, his statutes, his commandments. So the Lord flooded the world because they were not following his laws, statutes, and commandments. Meaning his laws, statutes, and commandments existed at the time of Noah. And Noah predates Hammurabi. Okay? Oh, man. Their manner of life was according heathens. All right. Yeah, because they were living like heathens. They were walking after their gods. All right. Walking after Molech, walking after Baal, walking after Dagon. You know, they weren't walking after Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. All right. And that's what happened when Jake started to follow in their ways. When we started marrying their women and we started falling off, we started going off. All right. And then we stopped walking after the ways of the Lord and started walking after the ways of these heathens. All right. Started walking after their gods. Yep, that's right. Jeremiah 10:1, which is why we are not to learn the ways or manner of life of the heathens. Exactly. Hey, this is why it's good to go into these words, because it brings that understanding. All right. It brings that clear picture. Let's get that. Jeremiah 10:1. Hear ye the word of the Lord, the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, learn not the way of the heathen, all right, or walk not after the heathens. Okay? Walk with me. Live your life, your manner of life, your conduct after me. All right? And be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. Okay? So going right back into it. All right. So the fact that Hammurabi has that eye for an eye and you do this and this is the consequence, that doesn't mean that that's where, they get that story. Oh, he got it from a deity, Marduk, which gave him the laws and he was this great king and all that. Really, all of those, all right, are versions and variations of our story. Okay. A lot of these stories, they seem very similar to what happened in the scriptures because they come from the scriptures. Now, Bruce Gore mentioned how, in the Epic of Gilgamesh, they have a story of the flood. Well, of course they would have a story of the flood because all these nations come from what? Ham, Shem, and Japheth, who experienced the flood. So obviously they would pass it on down. That was a known thing around the world that the flood happened. So they will pass that down. Oh, you ask your ancestors, your forefathers. The scriptures talk about asking, basically our elders, and they will show us the paths of the old. Guess what? If you ask your elders, they will tell you, how'd you get here? Oh, well, going back such and such and such. All right. Our ancestors migrated over here after the flood or the deluge. Okay. So this is all, you know what I mean, it all ties into it, man. So when people lack that understanding of the scriptures, when people lack that, knowledge of it, then they don't, they might easily get swayed and think, oh yeah, well, Moses and the story of Moses going to Mount Sinai and receiving the laws, it does sound similar to Hammurabi's code. Maybe it is a spinoff or a runoff of that, because Hammurabi was, as they would like to say, before Moses. Okay. But when you actually go into it, man, that's not so. Now we have all right, let me take you off mute. Oh, Salak. Okay, there you are. Now you're all good. Now let's run through the other accounts we have of
Okay, right. This is the account of Noah. Oh, I have to share the screen first, right? All right.
Pre Moses time, all right. Pre Moses accounts, okay, of the laws being in place, okay.
This is the account of Noah. It says, and Noah did according unto all that the Lord had commanded him. And Noah was 600 years old, and when the flood of the waters was upon the earth. And Noah went in, and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives with him into the ark, because of the waters of the flood. Of clean beast, and of the beasts that are not clean, and of the fowls, and of everything that creepeth upon the earth.
Now hold on a second. Clean beasts and fowls that are not clean. All right, it talks about clean and unclean. How do you have the knowledge of clean? Where can you get the knowledge of clean and unclean animals? That's in the book of Leviticus. But wait, the book of Leviticus wasn't written at the time of Noah. So how did Noah know which animals were clean and which animals were unclean? Because that's a part of the law. The law differentiates which animals are clean, meaning you can eat them, and which animals are abominable or unclean, meaning you can't eat them. How was Noah able to differentiate between the two? Right. And why would he even care? Right? If there was no law pursuant to that, why would Noah even care? Let's keep going.
I started from the wrong place, but I can read it now. It says, Genesis chapter 7, starting from verse 1. It says, and the Lord said unto Noah, come thou and all thy house into the ark. For thee I have seen righteousness before me in this generation. Of every clean beast thou shalt take to thee by sevens, the male and his female, and of the beasts that are not clean by two, and the male and his female. So
now once again, why would the Lord care, and why would Noah care about clean and unclean animals? Why so? Okay, because if the Lord just said, all right, you do whatever you want, I'm going to wait till the time of Moses, and then I'll bring my laws into place. The Lord said what? He changes not, pursuant to Malachi 3 and 6. So the Lord is, in the beginning, pre-Moses, he's not going to care whether you keep the laws or not. He doesn't even have laws. They don't exist. And then when the time of Moses comes, then all of a sudden he changes and says, you know what? I want to have some laws now. Okay, now we'll do it this way. No, the way the Lord works, it's been the same way. He just now had it to where, being that we were now a big nation, for order's sake, he said, look, let's have have them laws where it's actually there, so where Jake could see it, hence we also had the fringes to remind you of them.
Right.
Okay. Right. So that Jake can know, hey, look, this is what it is. You can teach it to your children. Hey, this is what it is. It's established. Okay. You got it.
And the account of that clean and unclean beasts is in Leviticus, but to show us that even before Leviticus, even before the law was given to Moses, it was there. So this is and
also the reason the Lord told Noah to take 7 of the clean animals was so that they could have some for reproduction, all right, for procreation in terms of the animals. They would be able to, male and female, okay, but also they would have animals to eat. Okay, so 7 of the clean animals, because the clean animals are edible, so you can actually eat them, but you can still have enough left to where they can procreate. And then 2 of the unclean animals, because you only need 2 to repopulate. Okay, so there's a reason.
Right. So I mean, that's pretty much. I I was also going to reference the Abraham circumcision, but
right. Yeah, that's also something that we have in our law, but it goes all the way back to the time of Abraham, right? Or the covenant the Lord made. So these are all different accounts, okay, of pre-Mosaic law, all right, as they would like to call it, where the I got you. Let me remove this. All right, of pre-Mosaic law, where the laws, all right, of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, his commandments were in place. They were instituted. They were in effect. Okay, so going back to the original point, no, Moses, the laws that we have that were given to Moses on Mount Sinai are not a replica or a copy, or the story of that is not a copy of the story of Hammurabi's code, to where a deity gave the power, the laws to Hammurabi. So that means that's where we get our story of Moses and the Lord. No, okay, our laws and our story, our history goes all the way back. All right, it doesn't start with Moses, but that was just when these laws were instituted in terms of being written down and being physical. Okay, but yeah, that's pretty much it. You got something to add?
No, that's it. We did everything we can. But just to add on, like the brother's saying, we should know all these things, because these are some of the things that we're supposed to be able to do, and you need to, like, again, you are set for the defense of the gospel, so know these things. You got to learn it so that when these Edomites or when these other nations, they come at you with that bullshit, they try to discredit the Most High. You can actually, because this thing is a prestigious thing. It's something that is honorable, and the only reason that men should think that it's foolishness is when they actually don't want it. Not because we can't explain it, or not because we don't know what we're talking about. That's pretty much.
Yeah. Hey, beautifully said, man. Because as the scriptures say, we are set up for the defense of the gospel. See, we are the only ones that actually, starting with our elders and apostles on down, we're the only ones who actually know this truth about Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. Right. Therefore, we're the only ones that can truly defend Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai and his truth and his gospel. So if he's giving us what we need, we got to do our best, learn the most about it. Right. The spirit is 144, but we got to learn so we can be well equipped. All right, now I'm going to get one last precept we can use to close it out. We can be well equipped, so that way when we're faced with having to defend the word of the Lord, we can do it. Like, hey, people risk their lives to defend their honor and their names and their homeboys and stuff. When it comes to the word of the Lord, of course, you might have the drive and the desire to, but you also got to equip yourself in how to actually be able to defend the gospel, man. Because there are certain hard questions that you might come across somebody and he'll hit you with those hard questions.
Right.
Now, that doesn't mean that your point is invalid, but if you don't know how to defend it, that's what it will look like. Right. It will look as though your point doesn't exist or it's invalid, even though it is true what you're saying. But if you don't know how to convey it or defend it, then it may look as though you don't really have a point.
Right.
Okay. That's right. If our gospel be hid, it is hid to them that are lost. That should be the case. If our gospel is hid to somebody, it should be hid to them because they are lost and they can't get it, but not because of our lack of understanding to declare or verify the gospel.
Perfect.
Okay. So let me get this real quick. A reason of hope. Okay, this is 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 15. And this ties in well with 2 Timothy 2 and 15, studying to show thyself approved unto the Most High, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. Okay, so you want to show the Most High that you're well equipped to do his job. All right, and in turn, 1 Peter 3 and 15. But sanctify the Lord, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, in your hearts, in your minds, and be ready always to give an answer to every man that asketh you a reason of the hope that is in you with meekness and fear. And that comes by way of studying and actually, being about the truth. Right. So, hey, that's pretty much it. Hey, the water elder, the water, you brothers that too.
Yeah, God, the water. I see the comment, but damn.
Yeah, definitely, helped us. Hey, we all throwing them logs into the fire. So to keep the fire burning, we all throw them logs up in there, so hey, the water for helping that, the lesson go on, and the water Yahweh by Shem Yahushai for giving us the spirit, of understanding and the spirit to be able to go into these topics and, really bring out the truth on the matter of it, man. As Lord willing, it was pleasing to the Lord, and Lord willing, in the times to come, we already see what's going on in the world. The Lord count these works that we do worthy, and he, takes that into account and delivers in the times to come, and provides for us. So Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai Barakatham to you brothers and you sisters out there, call Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, all right, for allowing us to do this video. So with that,
the blessing of election be upon your house.
That's right. So hey, one last time, we're gonna give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh. Until next time, Shalom.
Shalom.